Hello, and welcome to episode 58 of Talking Asperger's with Andrew. My name's Andrew Marsh, and I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome 7 years ago now. And that brought great clarity and great understanding to my life because I've always been different, always known I was different and never did fit in places, whether that was home, people, friends, school, college, or work. And what I now do is I work with employers to help them manage people like me better in the workplace. Very straightforward, very simple. And the techniques that I use are simple and straightforward that can be implemented very easily with just a bit of thought, bit of understanding of what the person with Asperger's or autism needs, and you can work together to create a more harmonious workplace for them. So we are on the 14th of December. It's that set time of year again. So we're going to have a talk today about Asperger's and autism and the festive season. I can tell you from personal experience that there will be people out there who have Asperger's or autism, or even anxiety or social anxiety or agoraphobic or depression or anxiety, just general anxiety, who will be absolutely dreading the Christmas period, the festive period, because they don't know what to do. They genuinely don't know what to do to fit in. So if you're a business and you have people who are on your teams who are a bit different, and you may or may not know that they have Asperger's or autism, or you may not know that they have anxiety, but they're a bit different. Take a moment to think about what you can do as a business to help them through what is coming up. What might be coming up in your business could be a Secret Santa. Secret Santa is where all the members of a team in a particular department draw names out of the hat of other members of the teams in their department, and they then get that person a small Christmas gift. And then on the last day of work before the holiday breakup, you have a gathering and they're called out and the gifts are given out and so on. To someone with Asperger's syndrome or autism or anxiety, that is an absolute nightmare. A nightmare, because so many things, and I'm going to run through a few of them with you now. They don't know what to get for the person. They might not know the person very well. It might be their boss. It might be the person they sit next to. It might be a person of a different gender. What do you buy them? What do you get? There might be a limit of £5 or £10 on your gifts, so you would know that. But other than that, you don't necessarily know these people. You don't know whether do they like books. Would you buy a woman perfume? Is that too intimate, too personal? Would you buy a man aftershave? What would you buy? What do you get? Do you get something that you think is funny, but some other people might think is, oh, that's a bit near the knuckle. That's a bit insulting, that is. And then they don't know what to do. And they are paralyzed with fear that they're going to do something wrong and that people will know that it's them that bought this ridiculous present for so-and-so and then made a laughing stock. And they don't know how to handle that. And that attention of, oh my God, someone's got Dave something absolutely stupid. And everyone's laughed at the gift. And by default, the gift giver, although they don't know who it is, because it's a Secret Santa, that person will not know what to do with that. They will not know how to cope with that social event of or sitting around the table or in your department and the Secret Santa box is the sack or the box is opened and the names are called out and you get your gift and you open it and it's the person that you chose. What's their reaction going to be? What's everyone else's reaction going to be? What's going to happen? Are you going to give the game away by going bright red when the person opens the gift and goes, oh, really? Hmm. Hmm. And everyone else goes, what is it? Oh my God, that's a bit off. It immediately puts the pressure on the person who has anxiety, autism, Asperger's, and they don't know what to do. Their first response, the first thing that they will want to do when that happens is to run away, is to get out the building, get out the department, get away from anyone else. Just be away. Because they cannot cope with that situation. And that's assuming that they've got to actually being able to buy something that they think is reasonably appropriate or funny or whatever for that person. But they don't know how to do that. They don't know what to buy. They're paralyzed by fear and inability to make a choice because they don't want to make the wrong choice. They don't want to make the person look silly. They don't want to make themselves look silly if it comes back on them. And they really will not know what to do. So Secret Santa's fraught with danger for people with anxiety and Asperger's and autism, because it's just something that they have no control over about what is going to happen. What if the daft gift, the funny gift that some might think is a bit near the knuckle or maybe a slight insult, is your gift? It's the gift that someone has given you because they think, oh, that's really funny. We've got him this book, or we've got him some soap or something. They are not going to know what to do with this thing, how to react at the opening part of that, so that everyone knows that you've got this gift and they get the joke and you don't. It could be a joke on you, but you don't get the joke. Everyone else gets the joke and they're laughing at you, not with you. It's a horrible thing to happen. It's a truly, truly horrible thing to happen. Take it from me. I actually organized a Secret Santa in a company I used to work for. They didn't have a Secret Santa in my department. And this was before I knew I had Asperger's. Important point. So I canvassed some opinion around the department whether they would like this. I didn't know there was a thing called a Secret Santa, but I knew there was a present thing, but I didn't know the name of it. So I called it a Christmas lucky dip thing. And it was only on the day that someone said, "This is the Secret Santa. Did you know this is called a Secret Santa?" But anyway, so I canvassed opinion, and I then spoke to the boss, and I said to the boss, I've spoken to a number of people, and they seem to be up for the idea of a Christmas lucky dip thing, where you draw your name out, draw someone's name out, perhaps buy them a relatively inexpensive gift, and we do a little reveal on the day before we break up. And they agreed to it. Come Secret Santa day before when we all broke up, I got from the person, and I think it was a team effort, because there was more than one person laughing very quickly when everyone else saw what I got. So I think there was a little bit of a conspiracy from 3 or 4 members of my team, and they came up with a poem, a little poemy story, which was obscene. It was obscene. It was adult obscene. And the gift was a Reader's Wives video. Now, for those of you who don't know what a Reader's Wives video is, it would basically be an adult magazine would have a Reader's Wives sections where readers would send in photographs of their boyfriend, their girlfriend in a compromising position or naked. I got a video of a Reader's Wives video for my Secret Santa. And I had to read out this graphic adult poem. They were wetting themselves. They were knotting themselves. But I didn't find it funny. My boss didn't find it funny. He thought, this has gone too far. And I didn't know how to react. I was embarrassed. I went red. I had no idea what to happen. This was about 1994. So pretty much before the internet was something that people knew what the internet was. We didn't even have computers to work with when I was at work. We had computers for technical software, but no one had a computer on their desk as a general thing to work with. So we didn't know about the internet. And did they have the internet in 1994? I don't know. But anyway, this is back in those sorts of times, and I was embarrassed. There were a few of the women in the department were embarrassed, and 3 or 4 of the guys were knotting themselves. They were creased up with laughter, thinking it was hysterical. But it wasn't funny. And I was the butt of the joke. And that has always stuck with me. This is 28 years later now, and I still remember what it felt like to open that and get this Reader's Wives video and this poem that I had to read out. to all of my colleagues, my bosses, female members of staff. It was that kind of thing that you really wouldn't want to read out to anyone, apart from two or three of your mates when you've had a few beers, and it's that type of environment. This wasn't an appropriate environment for that at all, not in the slightest. So that's an extreme situation, but maybe it isn't. Maybe you have someone in your team, or maybe it's you that has autism or Asperger's or anxiety or agoraphobia or fear of being around people. And you've got to sit in a Secret Santa situation. You're going to be petrified of what you get. Absolutely petrified. And they won't know what to do. So if you have a Secret Santa, or you have a Christmas lunch, Christmas night out, Christmas lunch, and you know that there are people in your team who have Asperger's or autism or anxiety, or just a little bit different, and you know that they don't particularly get on with everyone, I'm going to ask you to do something. And I want you to take note about this. I want you to buddy them through this difficult time. So that if you've got a Secret Santa, say, look, we've got this Secret Santa coming on. I know you're going to struggle with what to get and what to. I can be your buddy. You can tell me and I will not tell anyone else, providing it's not me, in which case we'll deal with that. And I will help you through it. I will help you decide what is appropriate for that person. I will help you buy it if you want me to come shopping with you on Saturday or after work, so that it's appropriate, so that you're not embarrassed by it, and it's just you and me that knows about it. I'm going to ask you, watching this now, to buddy up and help someone in the Secret Santa situation. Because the alternative is that person getting their gift or seeing the gift that they gave to someone else, going red, getting embarrassed and wanting to flee. And they will flee. They will run out into the car park, go and sit in their car, or they will hop on a bus and just get away and not come back for the day. They will be absolutely distraught with rage, with anger, with embarrassment, with overwhelm, with fear, all these high energy emotions that they don't know how to control and how to deal with. So if you know someone like that in your team and you're having a Secret Santa, buddy them. Catch them on a quiet moment and say, hey, we've got Secret Santa coming up now. I think you might struggle with that. I notice you can be a bit, you can have difficulties and challenges around people. Would you mind if I helped you out with this? And they'll probably say, yes, please. And you can take it from there and let them guide you. So be the buddy to someone. And if you have a Christmas nights out, a Christmas lunch or a Christmas night out, and I know in many of the places I worked, we had Christmas lunches, Christmas nights out. Some of them were very formal. We had a formal Christmas dinner that the whole business went to, and the directors stood up, gave speeches. We had a departmental Christmas lunch, which was more informal and a bit more riotous and raucous. But if you have someone in your team who doesn't really fit into that sort of thing, say to them, can I help you? Why don't I sit next to you and I help you out with how to negotiate this challenging time for you? Where to sit, what to say, who to talk to. I'll find someone nice to talk to sit next to, so that we got a nice little group around us that are friendly and warm and will be kind to you. Be a buddy to someone in those situations. And it's really important, because the last thing that you want is a situation where that person has to flee, or they can't flee. They are trapped in that environment and they have a meltdown. Now, I've had meltdowns. They're not pleasant for me, and I know they're not pleasant for people who are witnessing them. I'm going to tell you a tale that happened recently in the United States of America. There was an employee in this business whose birthday was coming up, and he said to his boss and his fellow colleagues, he said, look, I know you normally do a birthday thing and a birthday present for them and have a party and a night out, please don't do it for me. I have anxiety. I'm under medication and under the doctor. I have problems with being around people in those sorts of situations. I don't want the focus on me. Please do not have a party for me for my birthday. His work colleagues had a party for him on his birthday, and he ran away, went and sat in his car, petrified, scared stiff of being around the people because there's too much attention on him. Because it was all on him. It was his birthday. It was too much attention. A day later, there was a meeting, disciplinary type meeting held with his bosses to discuss his behavior. And in that meeting, the person with anxiety had a panic attack and lost control of himself, shouting, screaming, very unpleasant. And they sacked him. They dismissed him for his inappropriate behavior and various other things, but they sacked him for inappropriate behavior and etc. He sued them. He went to see a lawyer and they sued. And he went to court, gave evidence in court. The judge found in his favor and awarded him $450,000 in compensation for harassment, for the stress and personal injury, the emotional injury and stress that he suffered as a result of having the birthday party that he said he didn't want, getting reprimanded and backed into a corner in a meeting that he couldn't control himself in and had a panic attack and was then sacked. So I'm giving you that as an example because, yes, that's an extreme case, but is it? Is it an extreme case, or is it a case of someone has managed to finally stand up for themselves? He stood up for himself by saying, please don't have a party. I do not want a birthday party on my birthday. Just leave me be. He had the courage to say that to his work friends and colleagues and bosses beforehand. The incident happened, ran away, had the meeting, disciplinary, had the panic attack, went to court. He had the courage to go to court. And I think it is more common that that sort of thing happens than we know about, because you will find people like that that will just want, they've been sacked, they get away. They just get away. They can't cope with going back there. They've been sacked, they'll find another job if they can, or they go off on the sick, unemployment. And they go inward, they try to cope, and they get into a downward spiral of not being able to work because they're unwell and or the emotional trauma of the situation happens to them. So I think we're going to have more of that. I think we're going to have more of those sorts of situations where people with Asperger's, with autism, social anxiety, or other challenges that they have, put in a situation that is by definition going to challenge them and going to be a great struggle for them to cope with, and many will not be able to cope. The best thing that you could do to someone in that situation when it's coming up to the Christmas night out or the Christmas dinner is for the boss to say, take them aside and say, we've got this Christmas dinner coming up and people are going to be drinking and they're going to be enjoying themselves. And it's normal that everyone attends. Now, I'm asking you, do you want to attend? There will be no impact on your work record. You will not be disciplined. You will not be written up. You will not be reprimanded if you don't want to go, because I've noticed that you struggle and I'm giving you the opportunity to say, I don't want to go. And that is the end of the conversation as far as I'm concerned. I will tell other people that you're not going if they ask, and you cleared it with me, and that's all we need to say. That would be something that you could do. If you're in a position of authority and people in your teams that you notice have Asperger's or autism or other anxiety issues, say to them, we've got this coming up. Do you want to skip out? It's okay. Nothing going to be detrimental on your work record. Or even on the Secret Santa. Just say, we're having a Secret Santa. Would you be able to cope with that? Or would you rather just dipping out of that, and we'll take your name out the list, and you can go home, or, 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 or go out for a walk, or while we're doing the Secret Santa. That is a much better thing to do to someone who's in that situation than putting them through the trauma of getting to that point, because the trauma will build up day in, day out. It will get closer and closer and closer, and they will get more and more anxious and not knowing what to do. Give them the opportunity to sit this one out, because your alternative is that it goes belly up. The person has a meltdown. Things are said in the heat of the situation. The person is reprimanded or sacked, and they then sue your company. Doesn't look good for your company, and it does nothing for that person, who will then be traumatized for a long time about the events that led up to their sacking. Don't do that. Give them the opportunity to sit this one out. It was the wise thing to do. It's the decent thing to do. So please think about that when you're having these events. How can we manage people who struggle in those situations? Do we have to put them through it, put them through the grind of being there and being with everyone else, and the other one else is having drinks and they're getting vocal and loud and obnoxious, and the tension in the person with Asperger's or autism or anxiety is going, I'm going to explode if I can't get away. And that is what will happen. And it can be avoided. So if you, as a business, as a manager, as an employer, can find a way of saying, we'll ask, if you want to sit this one out, that's okay from our point of view. And it may be that in a business where you've got several people like that, that one of the things you can do is either let them all go home, which is probably what they want, but maybe have just a little gathering with those 6 people. Have a cup of tea and just sit down in the canteen and have a cup of tea for an hour, and have a cup of coffee and have a chat, piece of cake, something simple. Have no expectation of them to contribute to anything. Just let them sit and relax and be quiet. If you're not going to let them go home, find somewhere safe where they can sit down and be quiet and relax, or allow them to go for a walk around the block if it's safe for them to do so, or go and sit in their car. You can find a way of doing that. It's not difficult. That is what responsible employees should be doing. Should be finding solutions before the problem happens. And if you have people with autism, Asperger's, or maybe they're dyslexic, dyscalculic, dyspraxic, OCD, ADD, ADHD, all sorts of neurodivergent, or otherwise different, give them the opportunity to sit this one out. Because it will work. You can find a way to make it work, which will keep the harmony in your team. And that person will say, oh my God, thank you. Thank you so much for that. I've been getting so wound up about this happening. Thanks for being able to let me sit this one out. That's really kind of you. Yes, I will sit this one out. If you want me to do some work in another office or go and sit somewhere else, I'll do that. Or just if you can let me go home, that would be great. And let them do that. That's much better than get sued for $450,000. Okay, that was in America, but what's the exchange rate? 1.1, £400,000? And the damage to your reputation as a business, and the damage and the scarring that you're going to cause that person with the anxiety, with the Asperger's, with the autism, that they will carry with them for a very long time. Yeah, he won his case, but I'm sure he's gone through a lot just to get to that point. And he's got a lot of healing to do to be able to get back into the employment sector. So take the situation away before it happens. Keep the atmosphere calm and professional in the workplace. And if you can buddy someone, if you're not able to let them have the time off, if you can buddy them through it, buddy them through it. It will help. Because I know I've been there. I have been in that situation where I felt so uncomfortable, wanting to just get away. The need to get away in that situation is so overpowering, and being forced to sit there in that environment when you're so uncomfortable, you're so anxious, you're so tense, you're so ready to explode, doesn't serve anyone. Doesn't serve them, doesn't serve the team they're with, doesn't serve their boss, doesn't serve the business. So do the right thing and take them out of the situation. Please do that. As someone with Asperger's syndrome, talking to you, and if you're watching this on the replay, please take this to heart. You will be doing yourself, your business, and your employee or employees a huge favor, a massive favor, if you can let them sit this one out for the Secret Santa or the Christmas dinner or the Christmas night out. Does it matter that one person isn't in that group? One person sits out of work 2 hours earlier than anyone else because of the Christmas lunch? I doubt whether your business was going to go under because one person sits out for 2 hours and goes home early for 2 hours early to miss something. If your business is in that situation, you probably shouldn't be paying for a Christmas night out, but that's a separate issue. But think about the people that you have in your teams. Think about their strengths, think about their challenges, and take away the problem before it happens. It's the best way to deal with it. In the hierarchy of health and safety actions, the first and most important action to avoid being in an unsafe situation is that word avoidance. If you're not there, you can't get hurt. So if the person with Asperger's or autism isn't put in that environment where that could cause them to have an incident, have a meltdown, then they can't have it. So take them out of the situation. Manage it for them. And it will pay off. Trust me, it will pay off. And maybe I've overlabored this a little bit, but I really want to get across how significant and how important it is for someone who has Asperger's or autism or anxiety, just to be able to get away. We talked about the safe space, one of my 7 steps in managing people with Asperger's at work. It's exactly the same thing. It's just applying that to a specific point in time, Christmas time, festivities, Secret Santa, Christmas lunch, whatever it is. Let them sit it out. And then everything will go smoothly, you hope. And the only problems you will have is if the people who usually drink too much, drink too much. But that's their choice to do that. The person with Asperger's or autism or anxiety doesn't have a choice to have them. And they don't necessarily have a choice as how they're going to react in a stressful situation that is imposed upon them by others. And their reaction to that is not by choice. You see the point I'm getting across? I think that says it all, really. People who drink too much do so because they have a choice, or someone buys them a drink and they don't say no. People have anxiety, Asperger's, get put in that situation where it's going to be a melting pot and the pot's going to boil and it's them that's going to explode. That's not true choice. That's the way that they are made. It's the characteristics of the challenges that they have. Take them out of the situation. And things should go smoothly. You will have a very happy employee Not because they're getting 2 hours off that everyone else has got to sit through a Christmas lunch, but because they're not being put in that situation to start with. That's the key. That's the key. Take them out of the situation. And it will go smooth. So that is today's Talking Asperger's with Andrew. I know I've labored the point a little bit about it, but it is a huge thing. And I hope that I've got across that it is a huge thing for people who have Asperger's, autism, anxiety, or they're neurodivergent in another way, or they're just different in some other way. To manage this festive season, manage their needs. And if their needs are take them out of the situation, then do that. So we are going to have 2 weeks off, and we are going to return on the 4th of January for episode 59. So keep a lookout on LinkedIn in the few days before that. It'll be the Friday before that, which is at the end of December, on what the topic will be for the first Talking Asperger's with Andrew of 2023. But thank you very much for being on board with me today and for being on board throughout the year. It's been good to having you on board. And if you want to get in touch with me about managing Asperger's syndrome in the workplace, then you can get me on my website, which is over my shoulder there, aspergersmatters.com, or you can email me at andrew@aspergersmatters.com, or you can get me at LinkedIn at Andrew F. Marsh. That's all for now. Have a great, happy, and safe festive season, and let's have a prosperous and better 2023 than we've had so far in 2022. So take care. See you next year.